This episode of Come to Therapy with me is possible thanks to Pediasure, the health shake that helps your fussy eater improve their appetite in 4 weeks. I'll tell you more shortly, but please remember that Pediasure is food for special medical purposes, and use Pediasure only under medical supervision.
Nine podcasts.
Hey, Nicolina here. Oh, that little guy? That's my boy Noah. Yep, that's also him. He may be the light of my life right now, but that didn't stop the postnatal depression. Now I'm pregnant with my second, and to be honest, I need help. So I'm turning to therapy to deal with all the anxiety, the worries and the blues that come along with the most important role of my life, motherhood. Sit with me each week as I try to figure out how I can navigate these rough seas. Keep in mind this is general advice only. This podcast is not intended as a substitute for medical advice and should not be relied on to manage or diagnose a medical condition.
You know that saying, sleep when the baby sleeps? What a joke. All mums know this is almost entirely impossible. It might be the fact that we have 400 things to do around the house, or probably because when we try and close our eyes and relax, we have 10,000 wild thoughts running through our mind. I had so much anxiety building around my sleep, especially when Noel was a newborn, and 18 months down the track, it still hasn't improved. I find myself constantly on edge, anxious about the night, I'm worried about Noah, I'm thinking about all the small things that don't matter, when I should just be getting some rest. Some well-deserved rest, might I add. I'm exhausted, so I really need to sort this issue out. Luckily, Charisse is here, and today we'll talk through some practical tools that can help me process my worries and my emotions and get my sleep back on track. I also want to talk about a new habit that might be more of an issue than I thought.
I'm coming from a midwife appointment today.
You've been at the midwife?
Yeah.
Yes, how did it go?
A midwife appointment, and I had a little bit of a confronting scare.
In what way?
We call it a scare because, second child, I just am so not as involved in this pregnancy as my first.
Yes, yeah.
And I went along to the appointment thinking that it was 29-week appointment. And when we were rebooking the next one, she's like, okay, so I'm seeing you every 2 weeks from now on because you're in your 30 weeks. And I was like, in what week? And she's like, you're 32 weeks.
No.
And I thought, oh my gosh, in my head, this is coming so much quicker.
It's quicker than what you thought. So your whole mind has had to do a quick readjust.
I mean, I got, a little scared where I was like, okay, so that means birth is soon and
yes,
that means baby's soon and
yes,
all of that. Like I've calmed down
and
now.
What did you do with that? How were you able to kind of gather yourself back together?
The thoughts were spiraling.
Were
because
they?
I thought, at first I was like, 30 weeks. I always think about the birth because I'm just nervous,
Fair.
It's a nerve-wracking
the
thing.
majority of women who are about to give birth, absolutely.
But then the flow-on thoughts were like, okay, well then that means, the next baby is coming. That means there's going to be 2 around. That means you don't have as much time to set up. And that means, that the newborn phase is just
it's
around
about
the
to start.
corner. But I felt like I kind of stopped myself there a little bit.
Great.
Because I said, going back to some of our first sessions, I said, that's not in my control.
Yay, yes.
And there's no point in me thinking about it today. And I kind of talked myself out of the spiral, which was nice.
That's huge, right? To be able to catch those thoughts. Well, to know that you're having those thoughts in the first place, then to catch them, and then to be able to, like you say, talk yourself out or reframe them or do something different. Because what would have happened if you didn't do that?
Well, today's wouldn't have been a fun day. And then I'm also the type of person that I don't like, if I'm thinking about it in my head and I don't divulge it to someone who's usually my husband, because he's a lot more, I feel level-headed than me, right. Then I would have sat with it all day because, it's a Monday and he's at work, and I'm not going to bother him with a breakdown text. So that's, I just said, this isn't a today issue.
I love it, yes.
And And I can't change that it's 32 weeks.
Amazing. Yes.
I can't go back.
No, you're accurate. We cannot change that.
So I felt like, pretty good, like pretty proud of myself in that moment.
100%, you should be proud. You actually took charge of it and you said, how can I think about this differently? And by doing that, that new kind of path that put you on was a lot more settled.
Yeah.
Oh, so you could then choose different responses moving forward.
Yeah. For example, I just literally thought about, okay, well, what else have I got to do today? And like, just to deter my mind from like any other thought that related to that. That kind of ties into as well, but lately what I've been feeling a little bit with some anxiety, specifically around sleep.
Right. Not uncommon. So what's the anxiety about for you in particular with sleep?
It's a weird one that I think only mums will understand, but started from when Noel was a newborn and obviously going through like postnatal depression and just always on edge about what's happening and what he's doing and what I'm doing wrong and all that stuff that was going through my head. That obviously led to like pretty poor quality sleep. And what was frustrating about it was that he was sleeping.
He was sleeping, but you were not sleeping?
That's the thing. And I would just, every night would be the same thing of, I'd pop him down to sleep and I'd be like, oh, great. Like I've got a good few hours here where I can get a good block.
Good block of sleep yourself.
Yeah, I'd lay down and there would just be like, I'm an owl in the night. And just the thoughts would come. Yeah, and then that definitely improved after the newborn stage because I think the anxiety then was very much triggered by like always expecting him to wake up or always expecting, the next day not to be a great day or whatever.
Right.
But now, like, even going forward, like he's 15 months old.
Yes. And
I still have poor sleep some nights. I don't even know what I think about. I just like go to bed and it's just a constant, similar to today, it's a constant cycle of like, it could start with, maybe like he's been a bit unwell and then I think about, should I take him to the doctor? And then that flows it, but it might not, like maybe everything's also fine.
Might be benign, kind of just, so not necessarily worry thoughts, but a busy mind as well.
A busy mind.
Yeah.
That is exactly what I would call it. I just like cannot switch off.
Can't switch. Do you feel tired at that sleep time?
Yeah. I feel like I really would like to sleep.
Yeah. So it's not uncommon, right? And it's this sense of feeling very tired, but at the same time kind of wired. So I'm so exhausted and I have opportunity to fall asleep because my child or baby is asleep, but then I hop into bed and my mind is busy and it's pinging and it's not always worry stuff. It can just be running through what has to happen the next day or what hasn't happened or whatever.
It's a trail of like one thought into the next. I could start with, I've got a doctor's appointment tomorrow, and then I'll end up with, do I think that Noel really likes me? Like, I just...
And you don't even know how you got there, right?
Yeah, I have no idea how we ended up there, and it's like been an hour and a half since we've gotten into bed.
Yeah. So there are a few things we can do, right? And it's about finding what's right for you, because I think sleep is so variable and so unique to everyone. But at the same time, we know sleep is so important for so many processes within the body. It's the one time where our nervous system can really just rest, digest, get rid of a whole lot of waste. So yes, it is actually very important that you're trying to get that sleep kind of on track for you. So sometimes before we hop into bed, setting up like really good sleep, and commonsensical, but how often do we actually do this? Maybe not always. Setting up some good sleep routines so it starts to cue our body into knowing that, okay, this is now your time to start to unwind. So some people will like to do like a meditation before hopping into bed or whilst lying in bed, or like a guided meditation to just help to focus the mind on that, because the mind can't actually be focused on this and that at the same time.
Right.
It will jump from meditation to ding, 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 worries, but then we will redirect our mind back to the meditation. When we do that, it then cues our whole body into a relaxation response, which is opposite to what's happening when we're busy in our mind and our bodies in this kind of stress response. So we can try things like meditation. It can be really brief. Other things we can do is consciously, before we hop into bed, sit with a piece of paper And almost I kind of visualize it as shaking your head and letting all the thoughts tumble out.
Right.
And just write as many of them down, like really quickly, not neat, whatever.
Yeah.
And then when we're lying in bed and those thoughts, because they will, come
around.
we can address those thoughts with something like, it's okay, I don't need to think about you right now because you're on my piece of paper.
Yeah.
Then we can do some breathing and help our bodies to kind of relax and head into that sleep space.
Yeah, right. I think that one appeals because like I'm a big list person
Yes,
as well.
I remember you saying
like
that.
a to-do list and stuff. So that actually might be a really good tool for me because I do like to know that I'm, for example, not going to forget about something.
Yes.
It's written down and it will be addressed, but at like a different
But not
time.
at night time.
Yeah.
Because this is it, right? It's some of this stuff on your list will need to be addressed, right? But we have so much more capacity to address it in productive ways if we're doing that during the day when we have all our faculties available to us. And at night, we just don't have those faculties to problem solve. That's why it feels like it's kind of this avalanche of worries or thoughts that sit there.
Yeah. Something else that kind of happens as well, which I feel like makes me sound a little bit crazy.
So say it out loud.
Yeah. Is I sometimes like hear, for example, like Noah crying, but he's not. I don't know what it is, but it's like, I know when I first became a mum, people would say that like you just, you hear your baby crying all the time because you've got such like sensitive ears and whatever. And I will like on many occasions sometimes like wake up thinking that I've heard him, or maybe as soon as I put him down, I go into the shower and then I like can hear a ringing.
Yeah.
But he's not at all. I hope that you can say that that's my subconscious because it's like I'm imagining things. I'm imagining scenarios that aren't actually happening. Like a great scenario is happening. He's sleeping.
Yes,
I'm
you're
in the shower finishing off the day.
Fabulous.
But somehow my subconscious is like making it into, he's crying and you need to do something else and you need to go tend to him.
And that is not uncommon, particularly the shower example you give. And the way I would make sense of that is we can become so wired in this motherhood space where all of our attention gets kind of funneled into making sure our babies or children, young kids are okay, that it can be very hard to switch off.
Yeah.
So when you're in the shower and it is quiet, or when you're laying in bed and it's quiet, yes, our mind does kind of play these funny little tricks on us. So no, you're not crazy.
Okay, gosh.
But it's very unnerving, isn't it?
It is, it is. And I think that's also like the trigger because, as you said, if it's quiet and I lie down in bed and it like for a minute there it feels amazing. It's like quiet and it's dark and I know I'm to get a really good sleep.
Yeah.
And then it's like, just that little like cry and then I think, oh, was that something? No. And then boom, flood of thoughts.
But you can see as soon as your body, and I noticed it just then, right? As soon as your body or your mind interprets that there's a cry, straight away your body activates.
Yeah.
Woof, and that's subconscious.
Yeah.
That's just your body reacting.
Yeah.
Hence, then you have to work even harder to resettle yourself.
Yeah.
Because then all the thoughts just kind of, it's like the floodgates opening. So at that point, I would add in some lovely kind of breathing exercises.
Yeah, right.
Even if it's that hand breathing or something to regulate your breath, because that then will cue your body into that relax state.
Go back to how I felt when I first tucked myself in.
Yes, exactly.
This is exactly what I needed from Charisse today. Tips and tricks to get my sleep back under control. More on the other side of this.
All parents want to know their child has a balanced diet, but it can be extra challenging with a fussy eater. That's where Pediasure may help. It's a health shake for fussy eater kids and helps improve appetite in 4 weeks. Your child will love the vanilla, strawberry, and chocolate flavours, and there are more serving ideas in the free recipe book at pediasure.com.au. Remember that Pediasure is food for special medical purposes and use only under medical supervision. Buy in quality pharmacies.
Some other things you can do, like sometimes people will say it's really helpful to have like a few phrases they will say to themselves at night, particularly when that mind is busy. It's something like, there's nothing for me to do right now apart from lay here and let my body just enjoy being still. I wouldn't even focus on falling asleep, because then we sometimes spin and get worried about, well, I'm not falling asleep and I'm laying in bed and I'm going to be so tired. So we worry about sleep then, right?
Yeah.
Which
God, it never ends.
So even laying there and saying, all I need to do right now is actually just let my body rest. My body's resting by laying here. Oh, and that feels really lovely, because that will then also help our system to unwind.
That'll be really good as well when the baby comes, because I remember when Noah was a newborn, and we all know this phrase, sleep when the baby sleeps, and everybody says it to you and you're like, that's not how it works, because I can't automatically just fall asleep the minute they do.
No.
But I do remember, I think it was maybe my mum said, you don't necessarily have to sleep.
Yes.
You just have to lay down and just take a moment,
100%.
shut your eyes. If you don't end up falling asleep, that's still kind of recovery time or rest time.
Yes.
And that was nice, because I just, if someone tells me to sleep, I just won't.
It's not going to happen. And I think there's so much pressure, isn't there, when you're told, sleep when your baby sleeps.
Yeah.
Great in a perfect world. Great if you are one of those. Some people can, right? Flick the switch and go to sleep. Majority of people will struggle, like you're saying. And then if you're lying there thinking, but I should be sleeping right now, sleep is going to be the last thing that's going to happen for you. So that was helpful, right? When Noah was a baby, to really reframe that. Okay, I just need to rest.
Yeah.
It's actually about, and reframing that, it's not about sleep so much. It's about giving my body time to unwind.
Sounds nice.
It sounds lovely.
Just being able to lie and rest and stuff. But one other thing as well that I wanted to get a little bit of help on is directly kind of related to that anxiety. I feel like since becoming a mum, I'm a little bit OCD now about things.
Okay,
so I've never been too much of a, I didn't have any quirky habits or anything like that when it came to
order or control.
Nothing like that.
Okay.
But at night it really peaks. Because Noah sleeps through, I check on him. But I have this real kind of OCD where when I go in to check him, I've developed some sort of a creepy routine where I have to, for example, hear him breathe 3 times, and then I have to make sure that he's got a comforter, and I have to make sure that his comforter is in one place.
Okay.
It's I don't even know where it came from. I just started this habit of every time I checked on him, I thought, okay,
have to do these
3 times, and I check that, and then I shine the light and make sure there's nothing around him, and then I make sure his comforter's on his one side.
Yeah.
And it's now gotten so much to the point where if that's hasn't been done, then I can't, I just can't sleep.
Would
so
you
I get
then
up
go
again,
back and do it?
And do it again.
Okay.
So the other night, because we were away, and he was in a different environment, when I went to go check on him, he was kind of a little bit awake. So I went back, even though I was exhausted. I'd waited 20 minutes, went back in because I just knew I
wanted
had
to do the routine.
The 3 breathing.
What's the worry tell you if you don't do that routine? What will happen?
Do you know what? It's literally, if I don't do that and something happens to him that night, I would never.
You'll blame yourself.
Yeah. If he couldn't breathe, or if, I don't know, he rolled out of the cot or something, that's because I didn't
do those things.
And I didn't check that list.
So it's hard, right? Because we have a big responsibility as mothers, right? We're responsible for doing whatever we can to keep our kids safe. And it's not uncommon to engage in different routines or do different things in the aid of making sure our babies are as safe as they can be. And I think what you've just identified there, what underpins all of that is the fear of something bad happening, because we know our little people are vulnerable. However, the tricky thing is with any kind of those compulsive type of tasks is that we have this magical link between, well, it's because I heard him breathe 3 times and I did this, that's going to keep him safe. And that means everything is going to be okay. We say magical because it's
Yeah, it sounds ridiculous.
I mean, it's
yeah, but now that even though I explain it, it sounds like
it's very hard to pull away from, right?
Yeah.
Particularly when it's focused on our a belief that this will keep our baby safe when it comes to safety.
it's to the point where as well, I mean, my husband can go check on him and always does, but it's not enough for me. Even if I, for example, I'm not at home, I will come, whenever time I come home, even though I know that my husband's put him to bed
And he's sound asleep
and he's checked on him
Yep.
and he's sound asleep, I will have to go in and do the check. It's like something that
has to be
done so that I can go
switch off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't mind doing it, but I feel like it's becoming a bit of like a obsession.
It's becoming
like
a bit more.
A bit more.
Yes.
Like, before it was just this little thing
just
that
did
I
it.
did, but now it's like, it's like a must.
It's a must. You're more aware of the need to do it as well.
Yes.
Maybe you're more consciously aware. I would say things like this are problematic when they start to interfere with our level of functioning.
Right.
Maybe it's starting to edge that way if it's interfering with your sleep. If you wanted to work on it in that space, then I wouldn't say just no one check on him because that would be irresponsible.
Yeah.
But you might say, can I work on this by having my husband do the check? And can I lean into knowing that Noah's safe and his sleeping space is safe because my husband has done that check? That would be my first step. I mean, that's going to be hard, right? Because you will be very activated because you've been doing this for 15 months. Yeah. So really anchoring into some self-talk when you go to bed, which would be something like, it's okay. I know Noah's safe because my husband has checked on him.
Yeah.
I trust that he can check. So that might have to be on repeat for you, just so you can help kind of regulate yourself because it will be challenging.
It will be, because you know what it feels like as well? I would like to think, I know I'm his mum, but I'm not just the only one that has to do everything.
You don't have to carry the whole load.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because that's what it feels like. Even, with putting him to bed and stuff, which my husband does so often, but I just feel like I do it better. I just know, I'm like, I do it the best, so I will do it.
Would your husband agree?
I mean, probably. Yeah, he'd probably say you're a bit better than it.
Maybe you do it better, but it doesn't mean
that I always,
that you have to always do it or do it in that certain way.
Yeah.
The other thing is we just want to watch out, right? Noah's 15 months, whether who knows how aware he is of you doing this checking stuff. Maybe not, because he's already asleep by the time you're checking. We just don't want to be doing a lot of this checking stuff when he's older and if he's aware of it.
Yeah.
Because then his whole frame around sleep and safety gets disrupted as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't want him to be like afraid of, I have to come in to check and I have to be there, or that also has to happen for him to be able to sleep.
Exactly, yes. Like, it's okay to have these boxes that we need to check. We just have to be aware of, well, if we have this box, it can be a slippery slope. Well, what other boxes are going to start to exist or pop up, which then interferes with us just trusting in things being okay. Sometimes this stuff can come up, particularly around our kids' safety, if we've been exposed to other, I would say, bad things happening, which can then absolutely put us on red alert and make us want to do some of this checking bits. So I would just hold that there and check in for you around, is there other bits that you've been exposed to? I mean, we all know about SIDS, we all know about this stuff, reflecting on how much of that is kind of driving.
Yeah, that's just something that's always been on my mind, and I'd like to let go a little bit, because I know that my personality is like even a little bit different now that I'm a mum. I'm a little bit more highly strung about little things, and a bit more controlling over like particular aspects. Yes. And nothing alarming at all. Yeah. But it's just, I'm just always make sure that I'm aware of like how I'm feeling.
Where you're tracking.
Yeah.
I would say, as a rule of thumb, always checking in and saying, does this serve me well? Does this behaviour serve me well? Does this thought serve me well? Does it serve my family well? Does it serve Noah well? And then that's where we can choose where we need to kind of pull back, or we say, actually, it serves us really well. Someone might say, actually, I'm more than happy to keep doing the checking because I feel like, for me, it serves us well in knowing that Noah's safe. Fine. Others might say, it doesn't serve me well because I can't fall asleep and I become really anxious in this space. So really taking that kind of individual approach. How does this behaviour thought serve me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Now, do you have any solutions as to how I cannot be jealous of my husband falling asleep in 2 seconds every night? Every night he undoubtedly falls asleep in like 10 seconds. I swear I hear him snoring.
Yeah, I bet you probably do.
I do not know how men do it.
So frustrating, isn't it? Do you know how many times, Nikki, I hear this?
Oh my gosh. And then it baffles me. I'm sitting there like, you're snoring already?
Yes.
This is so unfair.
I don't have a magic wand to cure that. I do think that, yes, some individuals, not just men, individuals, I would say, just hop into bed and they're out cold. And wouldn't that be a gift?
Yeah.
Absolutely. If we want to prevent that resentment and frustration and irritation from building, I think what's really helpful in that space is to say something to it. It's a lot of self-talk stuff, right? Is to say something like, I'm so grateful that my husband can get the rest that he needs. This is really good for his body. I'm really frustrated that I can't fall asleep. So acknowledge how you're feeling, but see if we can, instead of being frustrated at him for sleeping, see if we can switch that into that kind of compassion around, well, it's great that you can sleep. And I don't say that in a sarcastic way. Well, it's really great that you can fall asleep and I can't. I'm genuinely relieved that one of us is sleeping, but I'm really frustrated that I'm lying here awake.
And good to know it's not just my husband, because I swear I thought he was some sort of different breed of man that was just so lucky. And you know what? I always reward myself with the sleep in on the weekend, because if you can fall asleep nice and quickly, then I'm getting the extra sleep in the morning.
Absolutely. I think that's a really fair trade-off, actually. And this is it, right? It's figuring out how you guys work as a partnership. And I think the risk with sleep is it can be such a contentious issue between partners, and we do get into this war around, well, who's more tired and who's had less sleep and who's doing it harder, which actually doesn't get us anywhere.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Whereas I like your approach where you go, well, you get your sleep because you fall asleep straight away. I need to catch up on mine on the weekend morning. Okay, fair's fair. Yeah.
Okay, great. I'm going to go back to him with that today, definitely. Say, well, Cherise said that I deserve
I'm allowed to sleep in.
That may have been the first thing I said to my husband when he walked in from work that night. Thanks for joining me this week, and I hope some of those tools from Cherise really work for you too. Come to Therapy with Me is hosted by me, Nicolina, and you can connect on Instagram at HeyNicolinaK. My wonderful therapist is Dr. Cherise. It's a 9 podcast original production. In the next episode of Come to Therapy with Me,
I'm taking this break for him and to have this time with him and like to have my kids and like have this set up this amazing life, because that is what I've wanted. Yeah. But you know, like, surely I'm not the only one sitting there thinking like, I want to work and I don't want to
keep moving forward with my work, and I don't necessarily want to stop my work.
Yeah.
But I want kids as well, and I don't know how to make sense of what this looks like.
Yeah. Finding a therapist that's right for you can take a little time, but when it comes to ensuring your fussy eater is eating right, Pediasure health shakes may make the whole process easier. Pediasure contains 28 essential vitamins and minerals, including iron and zinc, that help to support a healthy appetite in 4 weeks. You can download a recipe book with ideas for the school lunchbox and also read product info at pediasure.com.au. Pediasure is food for special medical purposes and is available at quality pharmacies. Use only under medical supervision.